what is the color, what is white? It turns out even there's a lot of tricks going on. So, so what happens is your brain takes whatever is the whitest thing in the scene and it anchors that. It calls that white. And if I put something a little bit whiter in the scene, then your brain says, oh, oops, actually that's white, and that, I don't know, it wasn't really white. And if I put something whiter, then your brain says, oh, actually, never mind, that's white, and the other things aren't white. Right? But it turns out that there's this problem with even what we call white. It has to do with whatever's the brightest thing in the scene, and your brain anchors that. So now when it comes to looking at the world, so if I were to ask you how many rhinoceri are in here, you'd be able to answer that question, but only after some work, right? Because you have to really look around. If I ask you how many elephants, you can answer the question once you start looking at it. And if I ask you where's Waldo in this picture, you can, like any child playing this game, you can hunt around and crawl the scene. But what should be clear now, at this point, is that your vision is not like a camera. It's not like you're just taking a picture of the thing and then answering where's Waldo. You're actually having to crawl the scene with your attention very slowly and look at each little. Has anyone found Waldo, by the way?
Really? Moving out of the blue car?
Out of the which?
The blue car?
I don't think that's Waldo.
There's nothing in the front of is that his hat coming out?
Yeah, it looks like his hat.
Oh, that is a hat. That's a distractor hat. Yes. He's behind the big rhino right in the middle near the top. Or what? Yeah, I think it's a rhinoceros. Right? So you see the rhino sitting in the back behind the bus?
Oh, yeah.
He's behind that. Okay, so it took a really long time to find Waldo, right? Because in fact, you don't see most of what's hitting your eye, just like the rail, just like the jet engine. You have to crawl the scene very, very slowly. And so, I'd like to give you a couple of examples of this that are really amazing. So, the first thing I want to do is show you.
This is an awareness test.
I want to see who can pass this test.
How many passes does the team in white make?
Okay, so count the number of passes that the team in white makes. You're going to prize me for this, right?
The answer is 13.
Does anyone get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Okay, now watch again and pay attention to the bear that walks into the middle of the scene. Okay, so that's the issue with the moonwalking bear that you didn't see because you were watching the other part, and now watch it. This is a really good one.
Hi, I'm Richard, this is Sarah, and we're going to perform the amazing colour-changing card trick with this blue-backed deck of cards. Now the idea is very simple. I'm just going to spread the cards in front of Sarah and ask her to push any card towards the camera.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go for this card here.
Okay. Now Sarah could have selected any card at all from the deck, but she selected the card which is now face down on the table. And what I'm going to ask her to do is show us which card she selected.
Right, so the card that I chose was in fact the three of diamonds.
The three of diamonds, okay, excellent choice. That card goes back into the deck. Now I'm just going to spread the cards face up on the table. Do a little click of the fingers, and you'll see that Sarah's card here has now got a blue back. Not particularly surprising, what's slightly more surprising is all of the other cards have got red backs. And that is the amazing colour-changing card trick.
How is it that magicians know all this stuff? I mean, because that's, like the dancing bear was a perfect example. You focus on the white people throwing, and then you miss this huge thing. So that's the premise of all good magic. How did they get hold of how the brain works? Because it has a long history.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, the fact is that neuroscientists are catching up with magicians. So magicians are people who just have really good intuition about how to grab your attention. Magicians have discovered all sorts of things, like, you know, if they make a curve instead of a straight line, you'll always follow that. Who knows why? We're still trying to figure that out. But they've got really good intuition about what it takes to grab your attention. And one trick they do, of course, all the time is and then they'll act like they make a mistake and something drops and you're for sure following, your attention is going that way. Meanwhile, they're doing whatever they want to over here. And the point is they can do it right in front of your face. They can be just like the moonwalking bear, do things right in front of you because they know how to command your attention. It turns out that your attention is essentially like a spotlight and it can only be in one place at a time. And attentional shifts are slow and you can expand or contract the diameter of the spotlight, but that's it. You can't, there's no way to pay attention to two things at the same time. So all a magician has to do is make sure that you're over here and then they can do crazy anything out here. That's how they do it. And the story is the same in all cases, which is we're just good enough to get by with what we need in the world. And as long as it is not bad enough to select us out as a species, then there's no reason to improve on it.
Well, it's
Blending of the senses. So they might hear music and it causes them to see colors physically, or they might see letters of the alphabet and it triggers a color experience, or they might taste something in their mouth and that puts a feeling on their fingertips, things like that. There's a blending of their
And that
senses.
should be a couple times in college. That's just,
Well, there's drug-induced synesthesia also, which indicates that the wiring is there in all of us. It's possible to have synesthesia, but about 1% of the population actually experiences this constitutively. And so it turns out one of the students in my lab is pretty sure that synesthesia will eventually take over the world because there's no disadvantage to it, and they tend to have a better memory. So for example, if you see digits in color, if every time you hear a digit that has a color experience for you, then if I tell you my phone number, you might forget the details of it, but you remember, oh yeah, it was an autumn pattern to me or something, so that helps you reconstruct it. So people with very rich synesthesia, all kinds of different forms of synesthesia, have extraordinary memories. And so there are people who are called mnemonists who have essentially untaxable memories. They can memorize any length of lists of words or numbers. There's this kid who can memorize pi out to 10,000 digits, which for most of us would be completely impossible, right? But for him, every digit has a color, a shape, a texture, a gender, and a personality. And so the 3.141569, that has a whole story landscape going on with it. And so for him, it's easy to memorize that because there's all these other features involved. Just the way that it's, you know, it's hard to memorize a poem, but it's easy if it's lyrics to a song because you've got this extra thing to hook to it. So he's got all kinds of things, and as a result, citizens have much better memories, and that's why they like to